So yes, technologies are growing fast or getting more smarter. We have the CNAP applications and cloud application proxy and all. They are enabling them to leverage and identify what AI are being used, but they still can't look at what data is going inside or which identities are being enabled among them. And the new technologies and new vendors are coming up with those things, but it is still at an early stage, I would say. And not everyone have a budget to go and enable or do a landscape review and start doing it. So that's simply what they do: turn off the tap. Even if you turn off the tap, if they do a proper scan and look at all the human and non-human identity, they would find still hundreds of AI applications which are still being used in the environment, which they have zero visibility. Again, going back to the governance, if you don't see it, you can't manage it. If you don't, it's not visible, you are not able to manage them.
Thank you, Abbas, for joining us today. It's great to have you here. Today, I would like to have your opinion on AI cybersecurity and everything that's happening in the space. So thank you to be here.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. And it's a beautiful day in Sydney today.
Exactly. So first, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so been in the industry for more than 27 years. I'm Abbas Kudrati. Worked in a variety of companies, started as a system admin, network engineer, then became an ethical hacker, GRC consultant, then became a CISO. My last job was with Microsoft as a chief cybersecurity advisor for Asia. And now I work for a company called Silverfort as their chief identity security advisor for Asia Pacific region.
Wow. So you did so many type of jobs, always in cybersecurity, always in IT?
Always started in IT because there was no cyber in those days when I started back in 1996, 97 time frame. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey all the way. And now we are living in the age of AI, as we know.
Yeah, I know the big wave.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So in terms of your experience, what was the most exciting time and what was the most exciting wave in technology?
Oh, my most exciting time was Y2K. I'm sure those who have 25, 30 years of experience, they would still remember those long hours and nights when they were busy preparing for the Y2K, the clock to hit year 2000 and getting into the new millennium, as we said. So that was a very crazy time for me. I was very fresh in my professional journey. I think it was my second job or the third job back in India, in Pune. Where it was again American company, and all the requirement came from US saying that these are the things you need to do in terms of preparing ourselves and protecting our data if clock hits in the middle of the night. So that was the one night where I was working till late night, till 1 a.m. because I had to sit and watch all my servers, what's happening at the stroke of midnight. So myself and one more colleague, two of them were in the room where everyone else is partying and enjoying millennial, while I was dedicated myself as a cyber hero or an IT hero, watching how things happened and everything went off. And then I left after sending the last email. Looks like everything is working. All data is secure and protected and everything is good. I'm leaving for the home or going for the party. My party started 1:30 a.m. in the morning rather than early. But that was the craziest time I had, I think, from the professional point of view. Y2K was, I would cherish that memory forever.
That's great. Yes. And so after that, you did different type of jobs. And yeah. I think when we met, you've been working for Microsoft.
Yes.
So big journey. How did you end up in Microsoft?
So I've been a CISO for a while. I worked as a CISO for multiple companies, starting from Middle East in Kingdom of Bahrain. I was a CISO for whole of country of Kingdom of Bahrain, electronic government. And then I moved to Kuwait for a National Bank of Kuwait, where I was a deputy in the CISO office. And from there, I moved to Australia, Melbourne, back in 2013. I joined Public Transport Victoria, the train, tram, metro network. I was the CISO for them. And then joined KPMG as a consulting company, as a CISO for the internal work, not for the customer work. So I was a CISO for the Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, PNG of KPMG offices. And while I was doing the CISO role, I was thinking, what's next for me? And I saw the role coming up from Microsoft. They were looking for somebody who is an experienced CISO, who is a public speaker and is comfortable in talking to a large audience and executives and a stakeholder management, and who can believe in Microsoft technology as a secure company, not a security company. At that time was a persona. So I applied for the role and went through a lot of interviews, and finally we both got convinced, Microsoft and myself, that looks like this is something I can do, become a CISO for customers there. a customer CISO or a field CISO, as we call it. That was an interesting time. Almost 7 years I spent there in Microsoft, seeing how they mature from what they call themselves a secure company to a security company. So that was a transition I had been through, and now they're moving into a phase of AI. And then I thought, okay, now enough of Microsoft. Let me try to do something new. And I'm a firm believer of identity as a control plane, because all the attacks what we see are targeted towards human and non-human identity. And I came across Serverford as a company who is a Microsoft partner. Been working with them for the last 3 years from the Microsoft side, as supporting them on implementing the zero trust architecture from on-prem environment. And finally, with CEO approached me and saying that, why don't you come on this side? And we agreed, okay, let's take a move and try something different. So here I am for last 1 year, 2 months, working for Silverford as their identity security. Exciting time, from identity to human identity to non-human identity to now agentic AI identity. That's where I'm focusing these days.
That's great. So in terms of, and that's great, we're going to talk about a little bit about AI and about like all the security around AI. Since you've been working with Microsoft, you've seen like the AI adoption in the workspace. What kind of risk have you seen like growing in terms of cybersecurity around employee AI use, around agentic work?
See, employees are curious. Any new technology comes in, people always try to experiment and explore how it is doing and what it is doing. At the same time, the CISO and executives are afraid that this is something completely new. I'm not going to risk enabling it. But if they try to disable those kind of technology in the environment, as a human, you will go home and try it on your phone, on your personal laptop, and try to see, because everyone talks about it. As you must have seen the statistics, how long it took for internet to be famous and mobile phone to be famous, and how long the chat GPT, or as we say, that was the first thing when everyone started. Within few weeks, it became million users, because of the curiosity and the amount of the cool thing it does for everyone. So yes, as a human, you want to go and explore it, but of course, we need to also look at the risk and the threat which comes along with it. Fantastic opportunity. That's where CISOs were worried that I want to allow my user to do it, but I need to put a guardrail. And that's where the good governance comes into the play. If you don't set a good guardrail and governance, people would go haywire and use it. The same thing happened with the internet, and same thing happened with the mobile phone. Are you allowing your people to use their own phone in the company? BYOD policy came into place. Same thing, the very first step the CISOs are now thinking, or which I always recommend them to do it, is set the guardrail, set the policy. Which technology you are allowing them to open it? Don't close it, because if you close them, they'll go. But educate them that these are the risk which comes along with them. Yes, they can play with it. And if they have a corporate version of it, you enable the corporate version of it. There are many of them, like ChatGPT have an enterprise version. Microsoft have their own Copilot, which is a professional version and a free version. Because those, if you pay something, it comes with a guardrail. If you're paying something free, you are the product, as they say, right? So have a guardrail in place, have a policy in place, have an education or an awareness in place. This is what you're supposed to use it. This kind of prompt they can ask, this kind of data they can use it to play along with the technology, and work with your employee to enable them more securely rather than just blocking it. That's what I think.
This is exactly what we recommend, and I feel like it's we are really aligned on this. And what do you think about all this new shadow AI and risk around what you don't know?
Shadow AI, we started from shadow IT, and then we have a shadow security and shadow applications, right? That was the biggest challenge. When you ask any CIO or a CXO or a CISO in your organization, the first thing they will say, I'm not worried about what I know, I'm worried about what I don't know, which is the shadow thing. People enabling their own servers in the environment. That's where shadow IT come in place. Then the people are enabling their own application on the cloud. Shadow application came into the place. And now shadow AI. Yes. People are trying to use all those kind of new products which are growing at a rapid speed. It was only ChatGPT, and today, if you look at it, it's more than 1,000+ AI applications in the environment. And organizations have zero clue how many of them are used by their employee. And in those applications, what are the corporate data which has been ingested to play with it? So yes, technologies are growing fast or getting more smarter. We have the CNAP applications and cloud application proxy and all. They are enabling them to leverage and identify what AI are being used, but they still can't look at what data is going inside or which identities are being enabled among that. And the new technologies and new vendors are coming up with those things, but it is still at an early stage, I would say. And not everyone have a budget to go and enable or do a landscape review and start doing it. So they simply what they do, turn off the tap, just close it, thinking that no, it's not there. But it's, even if you turn off the tap, if they do a proper scan and look at all the human and non-human identity, they would find still hundreds of AI application which are still being used in the environment, which they have zero visibility. Again, going back to the governance, if you don't see it, you can't manage it. If you don't, it's not visible, you are not able to manage them.
I agree. Agree. What's actually very interesting is what you said about like blocking it is even worse because people are going to use it anyway.
Yeah.
And you're going to have zero visibility because they're going to use their own personal laptop. They're going to use like send document to their personal laptop. So things are going to go around. It's too good for people to not use it. And so they will use it. The question is, do you want to control it? Do you want to govern it? Or if you decide to block it, to go around it, if you block it, people are still going to use it and you won't have any visibility.
Absolutely. They talk to each other, right? I can create a code in 5 minutes rather than working on hours.
Yes.
Why don't I do it? I'll do it from home if the company is not allowing me to do it from the office. Yeah.
Exactly.
When
you have to write big documents like reports, when people write emails, like it's used in so many ways now that so much productivity, I guess. Like employees are seeing like the productivity more and more, so they're using it more and more, and so the risks are bigger and bigger with all the data getting there. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of stories, but we'll go through the stories. I can share more examples.
Definitely. And so now with all these agentic waves coming up, with like there was like OpenClaw being released like not long ago. Now there is, there was Anthropic Cowork, Microsoft Copilot Cowork. So all these new agentic waves going up. I would like to have your opinion about like, this new risk around agents. That could be, like security risk, that could be misfunction risk.
It's a crazy time. It's a fear and uncertainty and doubt. Everything come together, as we call it, the FUD, right? Let's break it into a small chunk of what I feel about that.
Yes.
Number one, agents. Number one fear which everyone have today: I'm going to lose my job. And honestly speaking, in last couple of weeks, many people have come to me and saying, Abbas, my company is asking me to learn AI and automate certain things using AI, and I'm afraid that if I start doing it, they will either cut my salary or they will slash my team or I will lose my job. What can I do? Now, that's the number one fear people have, especially from the professional point of view. There is no option of not learning it because organizations are pushing them because they are seeing that what ROI it brings in. But as I said, we are still in an early stage. We need to use it and leverage it in a lot of caution. So number one fear, losing of jobs in the name of productivity. And we are seeing it. Look at the news. If you go and search about it, Meta is going to fire this many people.
Yeah.
A couple of days back, I saw another company I forget the name. It will come to me. Fired 2,000 people from their organizations and all. Big banks are going through that approach as well. Those who are been there for 20 years or 15 years on the job, they are not upgrading the skills. They are asked to leave or reapply for the job, and they're not getting the job back. That's a fact again in Australia, around the world happening. So that's the number one fear of losing job against productivity. Second fear is not knowing what privilege these agentic AI are inheriting. You may, as an individual, are a normal user. You're not a privileged user. You're doing a normal job. But when you create a certain agent through your application of or whatever you're using it, that agent will by default inherit the super privilege. And sometimes the agents create sub-agents, sub-identities. So it's a kind of a nested loop. If you try to map it from your identity, how many agents' identities are created and what all data they are accessing and which application they are accessing, it's crazy. And that's what we see at the Silverford. We have that kind of a map which shows you human access to all the non-human identities, and we can map it back to a human. But if they are not using this kind of technology to have a full visibility, they are running blind. An agent may be sharing the data with another agent or trying to leak the data or have an access privilege, which brings a lot of threat. What if your non-human identity is being compromised or being targeted, which is actually happening today? Hackers are not targeting human identity. They are targeting the non-human identity, your API keys, your certificate tokens, your service accounts and whatnot, because they know that human have a limited privilege, but non-human have a higher privilege. Once they get access to those kind of identity, a non-human identity, they have the keys of the kingdom. They can do a lot of damage, and it is happening. You pick up the news from the last 16 months, I would say, or at least 1 year, or even 6 months, and see which are the top companies which has been compromised or been attacked, and what was the attack vector. You will be surprised to see it is a non-human identity which was an attack vector. And now it's going to be a agentic AI identity, because they are part of your workforce. I would not name the company to you, but there was one company, big hyperscaler. They are giving an employee ID to every non-human identity. So you as a manager, if you open your organization chart in your Outlook or Teams, you are able to see, right, how many employees are working under you. That you will be able to see how many non-human identities or agents working for you in your organization structure. So they are being given employee ID as well. I hope they're not giving them salary as well. But you never know. If the agent is more productive than you, maybe they get an extra bonus, which goes from your salary.
That's another conversation about how can you reward your AI, and should you give them time? There is OpenClaw. They created like a social media for like AI, so they can just go and chat.
They work 24/7 even while you are asleep, as they say, right? Yeah. They are kind of extended workforce, but you need to control them in a proper way. You should know what they have access, how they access, what privilege they have. Otherwise, they will be able to do it. And story for the next question, but I have a good story on that.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because like what you said about, there is so many new integration with this agent. So this agent, they go on the internet, they read web pages, they read emails, they can read SMS. So there is so many new integration and so many point of attack. So, we're talking about prompt injection, we're talking about things like this.
Absolutely.
There is so many ways someone can start talking to your agents and try to make them leak some data, do some, taking some action. So yeah, just tell me, like, I would like to know like some crazy story. I feel like this is something very interesting.
Now, crazy story is what OpenClaw.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. And I forgot the name of the founder. I remembered it, but I forgot. So the founder himself said that he had recorded some conversation in an audio format and asked the agent, which he created, to a co-work agent, whatever you call it, to translate it or transcribe it, audio to text. Now, there was no codec on his machine to translate that. So what the agent did, he tried to look up the codec. He did not find it. He found the WAV file which was recorded. He went to the internet, downloaded the codec for it, translated the whole thing and gave the output, and that too within seconds. Because he found some file or API which was there, or some token or certificate which was there on his machine, and he was able to access that particular from the internet. It has access to internet, and gave it to them. So even if the agent is not been authorized to do certain things, it will go and learn on its own and go and find the information for you. Imagine this was just an audio file. If it was a sensitive data, and you ask the agent to do something, it goes out. So the point is, they are uncontrollable unless and until you define. And the founder itself says very clearly, it is at an early stage. If you don't know, if you're not technical enough to configure the backend and secure it in a way, he himself says, don't use it yet. We are at a very early stage. And as you know, you just said that Anthropic has come with the cloud has come with the coworker, Microsoft has come with the coworker pilot and all. They are much ahead in the game. So they are putting a governance guardrail or responsible AI framework on them, which you can review and verify it and then leverage it. So either you work with a large partner or a vendor who are already mature and they are transparent in that, rather than something which is just created or available online and free of thing, and you are just exposing your whole life. Because co-work will ask for your data. It will ask for your email address. It will ask for your access to your Outlook. And imagine where the maximum data is. If your personal account or office account, email, The email is the biggest database you have. You have all kind of crazy information in the email. Even you'll find your passwords, your passports, your personal life, your professional life, everything is in the email. And one click, allow access to my email, you are giving them the full authority to the agent to go and open your whole life, personal and professional. So be careful what you are doing it. Try it in a isolated, very controlled environment. See the output, and then work towards that. It's a fantastic thing from the productivity point of view, but be mindful and be careful. That's the only advice I would say.
No, definitely. And so we have the same experience. We've been developing with OpenClaw quite a lot at the start, and we realized the risk around it. And we start connecting our OpenClaw more and more. And more we connected it to, emails, we give him his own emails, we give him like things, more we realize, okay, this is big. And so we decided to create like specific agents, and we say, okay, we have to create a red team agent, an agent that's going to really try to break all the agents. So we have a sales agent, we have a marketing agent, and we wanted to be sure that, they're being battle tested. And the best way to battle test an agent was for us to create another agent.
Agent against agent, machine against machine. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we've been playing with this, and then we created an agent that look at all this report and what worked, what didn't work, and start training the agent or to be more solid based on previous attack. Yeah. So very interesting the way where we could do all of this. And it all started with, so there was a lot of, research paper around the data security around OpenClaw, all the cyber security in general, or we can do prompt injection, all the type of injection around OpenClaw. And there was a big report about this. And I realized that by default, OpenClaw have so many risks around it. And I took this report and I told my security agent in OpenClaw, and I said, this is the report. This is all the risk in OpenClaw. And he analyzed the report. He analyzed all the risk, all the type of attacks, and start implementing security based on it. So that was very interesting because by default, it's open to everything, and there is a lot of risk.
Absolutely.
And so what I start doing is every time I see some risk, every time I see things, we start building a database of how people were able to go around the security around it. And we give this to our security agent, and our security agent to be sure that everything is implemented in a way that we are secure. So I believe that before we're talking about be sure we train employee and we keep employee up to date in terms of especially when using tools like ChatGPT or free tools. But now we are really talking about how can you train your AI and you keep your AI up to date in terms of best security, prevention, what's or to stop being prompt injected. Very, very interesting how that's not going to be just employee education, that's also going to be agent education.
How you are updating and tuning and training your agent the same way. The same way we talk about the large language model, right? How are you training it? And I remember when I was in Microsoft as a part of their responsible AI framework, they use a specific large language model or LLM or AI model for defeating or for going against a certain malicious prompt. So the crazy example, if you are asking a prompt in your Copilot to give me a recipe of creating a bomb, it's not going to give you, because they have a specific model which is protecting this kind of information from being given. Not like ChatGPT, you can bypass and do the prompt injection and ask some crazy way to get that answer. You can't do it in a professional or professionally created large language model. Same thing with the concept which you mentioned. We are moving from large language model to agentic AI as well. So we are now creating agents, or organizations like Aona, anyone, Silverfort and all. They are working towards that, to have an agent to challenge the other agent. Whether, hey, you're trying to access this sensitive data, do you have authority of that? And I will, if not, then I'm going to report it to the security operations center in a way, right? That's what the concept is you are explaining.
Yes.
So agent against agent, machine against machine. But the challenge will be tune it, train it, learn, make sure it is learning and up to date, because humans are creative. They would find some creative way to bypass that particular question in a different manner. So how are you trying to keep an agent up to date in that? Create that guardrail for them again. Good governance again.
That's always going to be like, like the never ending like story about attackers trying to find a way to get around the security of your agents, and you and your agent be sure that you're up to date.
I like the term red team agent and blue team agent. That's a good one.
It has been like, term used like for forever in cybersecurity, but this is really, and I'm not sure we're going to call agent, but like right now we're refocusing on OpenClaw because we're seeing a lot of people that are using it more and more, and they really like this kind of like cybersecurity, like basic tools. We see enterprise not touching OpenClaw. I think they are very worried about it.
Yeah, it's very early stage.
But mid-sized business, I think we're seeing like so many implementation. They're really like start, automating workflow, be able to give an agent that people can talk to in their, in their Slack, in their enterprise messaging. So yeah, it's a big risk.
And it's easy to create agents. This is like Microsoft AI Foundry and heaps of other vendors as well. They give you that kind of a platform to create your own agents or bring your own agents and have it as a part of your organization structure and leverage it. It could be a specific one. I wrote a blog some time back about how the future of security operations center will look like. That's the one question people ask. Okay, I can do a lot of automation using AI. So the future is the level 0 of your security operations center will have all agents doing the job for you. You will have agents for doing the vulnerability assessment, agent doing the compliance check review, regulatory review. Agent will go and do the threat hunt for you, which already we're seeing it today. There are a number of companies who provide that agent for doing the threat hunting. You just give them a detail and it go and hunt and give the report. By the time you come back with a coffee, it will come and give you all the reports on that. So agent will be the layer 0. So people are, especially my son, what's going to be my job in future? We just started his job as a security level 1 analyst. I said, you need to learn how to manage the agent. That's a level 2. So level 0 or level 1, whatever you call it, is agents. Above that, you will be having an analyst who knows how to manage this agent, which comes back to your point, training, tuning, learning of the agents. And above that will be again human layer who are experienced in integrating that agent with other technologies or creating the new agent for them. So level 0 automation completely. Above that, human who are managing those agents and monitoring they are doing the right thing, or there is a human loop involved. If somebody is trying to do something, agent will report and the human will verify and confirm. That's how it's going to be. Above that will be the people who knows how to create the agent, delete the agent, kill the agent, whatever you want to call it, or fine tune and integrate the agent with various technologies what you have it. And then you have the manager and the CISO on top of it. That's the future of organization structure looks like in the security operations center.
Very interesting. And we've been talking to some of our customers, and they've been looking at even recruiting a chief agent officer.
It is happening. Chief AI officer or chief agentic AI officer. We are seeing that kind of a role. Not the title, but at least the responsibility matrix. I see it in the job description that you have to know on that.
It's very interesting, Bas, because, there was like HR department, there is like people department. Now they are thinking about creating agent department. And so agent will be, of course, integrated in every single department.
It's part of the human structure, which I told you, right? They will have a organization, will have a HR identity as well. Human ID or employee ID.
Exactly. I saw like funny project, like, they want to give like, agent also like a way to spend money and things like this. So they're creating credit cards for agents.
Yeah.
It'll be like going to this next stage where people are going to actually give money to agent and they would be able to spend money, take decision, and very interesting and very risky.
Same concept. How when the cloud started, you can now create a wallet in the cloud and saying, this is my expenditure budget. If you, and if the cloud usage reaches to that level, report it and monitor it and fine tune it. So you will have option of fine tuning where I can save money on the cloud because I have a set budget in the cloud. Same thing, we are applying that as concept within the agent as well. You set up the wallet. This is the tokens, as we call it in the world of agents. These are the 1,000 token you have it. You can, once it is reaches at a certain level, you need to alert and monitor. But sometimes it just goes and spend all the token because you gave them a complex task. By the time you wake up in the morning, it burns out all the token. In Microsoft language, they call it SKU, secure computing unit, something like that. So yeah, you need to have the governance again in expenditure of tokens, fine tuning of the models or what they can go and where all they can search and how much they can spend it. Crazy world.
Crazy world. And this weekend, I think Microsoft, or last week, end of last week, Microsoft released like Microsoft Copilot Cowork.
Coworker, yes.
Yeah, it's another big step for Microsoft, like going to full agent.
Yeah.
And I think they partner on with Anthropic
Yeah.
for this new feature. It looks amazing. I think
Looks amazing. I saw the initial demo. I think next week they're going to release a lot about that in RSA conference in San Francisco. Excuse me. Looking forward for that. So to learn more about that, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in that area. So can't wait to see what are the new things coming up and put my hands to play with that.
Yeah, I think like it's great to see Microsoft moving faster and faster. I feel like with Microsoft, they do amazing demo, and sometimes they take a little bit longer to actually get it there. But yeah, it's the integration. I think they have this integration layer where they're already integrated with everything. So that's, and they already have like you said a big amount of guardrails in place.
Yeah.
But because it's going to be integrated in your Microsoft 365, I think they have a big advantage on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Silverfort is coming up with their own announcement next week. Copilot announcement with Microsoft partnership in that space. So I'll share with you when we release the podcast. I'll share the link of that announcement as well. So that's the beauty of working with the Microsoft as a MISA partner. A Microsoft Security Intelligence Association partnership. So that's something, it's a great way of partnership with them.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. We've been working with a lot of customers that decided to go with Microsoft Copilot. We have seen like so many companies pushing for it, but the employee adoption hasn't been as fast as expected. Usually like we're seeing like still employee using like ChatGPT, still using other tools. Most of the company, when we do like the integration and we're looking at shadow AI and the analytics in part of the first phase of integration, Microsoft Copilot is used like 5-10% usually. And for company that actually spending all their budget into Microsoft Copilot. So I believe that this new way of really integrating with, everything like your emails, like your PowerPoints, like your calendar will really boost, and make like Microsoft, like this is their power. They have your ecosystem, they have your workspace straight away.
No, that challenge organization will always face. It's like a catch-up game. New technology is advancing very quickly and very rapidly. And that's the job of the technology vendor, like Aona or Silverfort or Microsoft, take whoever it is. That's our job, bread and butter. We need to innovate quickly to be relevant in the market. Otherwise, somebody else would come and take over. And look at the stock price went down after the open clothing happened on that, right? So, but on the flip side, if I wear my hat as a CISO, it is not that easy to just implement something new. It has to go through a lot of process. I need to make sure my team is trained on that. People are aware what risk and opportunity we are bringing it. Are there enough guardrail? Are there enough compliance and regulatory framework around that? Who is watching it? Yes, there's a responsible AI framework, but are there anything from the government side? Or do they have a AI regulatory available on that? I remember many years back when I was working in a public sector in Melbourne, there was a cloud first policy. Not everyone was adopting cloud because they were afraid. Oh, I don't want to go to put my data on a cloud. I don't know where the data is. Now what is happening? So organizations and the country came up with a cloud first policy and a guardrail around that. These are the things you need to focus on, and this is what we are doing it. And Australia was, or I would say Victoria state was one of the forefront to say that we have a cloud first policy. If you want something, go to the cloud first. And this is the approved vendor. Same thing is going to happen in this AI and agentic AI space as well. There will be a guardrail or framework would come into play from the government and public sector as well. So these are the approved vendor whose agents you can use it, or go for it. Create your own agent using Foundry. And these are the requirement, or these are the guardrail. Make sure the agent you create, you're following this specific checklist on that area. So we are at an early stage, but we are moving very fast. And organization will have to catch up on that. And I'm already seeing a pressure on ITs and security folks, my ex-colleagues and all, where they're saying, I have to try this. And so that's why they create an isolated environment. They do a lot of POCs and try vendor evaluation and go and present to the board that these are the things we can do, these are the things we cannot do. Are we ready for it? If they say yes, go ahead, and then they flip the switch and go into production side. So it's going to take time.
What have been surprising me so much lately, and especially with OpenClaw, is the rate of, like you said, the rate of adoption. Even non-technical people have been installing OpenClaw on their machine. Everybody has been playing with it. I think it has the most star, on GitHub. In a matter of weeks compared to like React that was, took years to get there. We went to buy some Mac Mini that, to run OpenClaw. Luckily, there's no Mac Mini in the Apple Store. So like so many people went and got full on in it, when we look at OpenClaw and in terms of cybersecurity for us, running it into like a specialized machine that we have full access to it is something we wanted to try first. But yeah, it's mean like everybody's using it. So in a company, like already a lot of employees are running with their OpenClaw.
Yeah.
And already their OpenClaw have access to their emails. Their OpenClaw has access to, their code base. If you're a developer, they have access to everything. So that's I think a big risk for company is this rate of AI adoption, and nobody knows. Like when we ask to CISO what's happening, and nobody really knows how many employees are using OpenClaw, how many employees are using other type of agents. This is a really, it's a wild west right now. It's wild west in terms of agentic work.
Everything comes boil down to the two areas: identity and the data. Because if you don't control the identity, how do you protect the data? Because at the end of the day, attackers and the malicious users are targeting the data at the end of the day. And they come through identity, human, non-human, agentic identity as well. So that's where I think you come into the play, or Aona comes into the play as well. Protecting the data is one of the key area, and identifying which agents are running in that area as well. So yeah, that's absolutely great technology what you're working on.
Yeah. Thank you. And in terms, so you talk a little bit about regulation and compliance. My main question is, do you think there is enough in place right now? Do you think, like, for example, in Australia, like we are very low in regulation and compliance compared to maybe like,
European countries and all.
European countries. What do you think about this?
Yeah, absolutely. There are, it's early stages, as I said. There is a whole heat map about the world map about how many countries already have in place about the AI. Yes, excuse me. Yes, there are bits and pieces around that, but no formal regulatory framework as such, or from the government, from public sector. Yeah, private sector, yes, responsible AI framework and this and that, and checklists and governance models are available. But from the framework point of view, or safe adoption point of view, there is nothing formally or legally available. People has to do their own guesswork or learn from other countries and create their own policy. Because internally, we can mandate the policy, but from the public sector point of view or from the government point of view, you are at an early stage. And maybe what we have today, talking about the large language model and AI model or machine learning, they haven't reached to the agentic AI world, because that's a completely different world, I would say. AI is, yes, there, but now we have stepped a branch out from the AI and going to the agentic side of it. I think that's where we need to catch up in that area. And maybe it's a public-private partnership. We need to think about how public and private parties can work together to help government speed up and create those kind of frameworks as well. Because their strategy is always 3 to 5 years, which they have to wait until they finish, unless they try to decide to change off in between and enable and release something on that.
It seems like this acceleration of AI adoption and new AI product is going so fast that
absolutely
these regulations are not even accelerating as fast.
Yeah.
And so there is I think the gap is growing. Between let's say about OpenClaw and all these agentic things happening, in the last few months, regulation will arrive in the next 2 years.
2 years, absolutely. Yeah, 1 or 2 years.
So there is a huge risk during this time. And so I wanted to ask you another question. What's next? What's the big, so we've been through people using ChatGPT or all this AI at work. We've been MCP and, all this regulation around APIs. And now we're regulation around agents and how agentic teams are working. What's next? What do you think is the next big challenges around AI security?
A couple of years back, I was giving a presentation on threats and opportunity of AI or Gen AI. I had one slide which talks about we are right now in a Gen AI phase. AI has been there for more than 40, 50 years. First model was created 1970s, 80s, 60s kind of thing. but we never called it AI. It was mostly machine learning and all. Today we are in a generative AI, which text, image, video, all those converts happens. The next phase in AI, and I will come to the agent part of it. Next phase of AI was going into a SGI or AGI, artificial generative intelligence, or super artificial generative intelligence, which will have ability to think on its own and give you the output or correct on its own. And I thought that would come in next couple of years. I'm talking about 2 years back. So we're in 2026. I'm talking about 2023, 2024. I was talking about these kind of thing. And my prediction was in 2 years, we'll have something of S or AGI, artificial generative intelligence, which will have ability to think on its own and do the task for you. I never thought it could be an agent. And look at it, all of a sudden the world has shifted towards AGI, but it's not an artificial generative intelligence, it's agentic AI generative intelligence, as we call it. So agent is taking over slowly, but it's trying to do a lot of work for you, smarter way, faster way, better way in certain cases as well. Only thing, you as a human needs to be in the loop of approving certain things and governing and monitoring things. The next wave is going to be, and not from the technology point of view. Technology, I thought I'm losing my track in the prediction. Yes, AI is going to continue. More and more commoditized will happen. Maybe you will have a certain hardware, or the way we have Alexa and a Google Home, it will be an agent home. So devices in your house or household. Right now, we are trying to experiment for the corporate work, but it will become a household thing for you. You will have a hardware agent sitting there from a particular vendor, and that will do certain things for you. Just say it and do it. You're already seeing it. I have a pet robot called Luna. Not marketing them. So my pet robot dog, and I talk to that particular Luna, and it's based on ChatGPT.
Okay.
It does the task, weather report, this and that, dance, and it does crazy stuff. So the way I have a Luna pet bot, I think we will have more of a device for doing certain areas. We already seen the vacuum cleaner robots. Been there, but we'll see more advance in that. It become more of a commodity rather than just a corporate agent. That's one thing I see it. A second thing I see it is from the human point of view. You have a two choice: either you work with AI or work against AI, or you need to learn. You need to learn definitely to survive in that particular thing. You need to learn how to work with AI. You cannot say I'm not going to implement it. You will be thrown out of the job. And that is why a lot of these friends are asking me, what can I do? Am I going to lose your job? I said, no, go and learn. Go and teach, go and tell them that you need me to manage this new agent. Otherwise, without me, agent is going to be a rogue employee who has access to everything, and you never know what's happening behind the scene. So you need to learn how to manage it and how to create an agent, create your own lab, heaps of resources available online, AI Foundry, Anthropic, you mentioned about that you can go and play with, create your own agents on that in an isolated environment, not even your home network, in a completely isolated environment. Learn how to create your own agents, very simple one. Go and experiment how it does, what it does, and look at the access kind of thing it gets, and then you implement something in a non-production environment to showcase it. These are the things you can achieve using it, but you need a human in the loop as well. So learning and being aware, I think that's will go a long way on that. We need people. Actually, it is going to create more job. People are saying, oh, it's going to be less job, but no. Certain job will replace, but you will still need human to manage this. Example, I gave you level 0 of SOC analyst agent, and then you need human on top of it.
This is very interesting what you say, that it's a main skill that everybody need to have. It's like when computer were invented and you start seeing computer everywhere in the office and everything, and you still think at this time people are worried about it and you don't want to use it and you don't want to. Everybody, I feel like it's not a technical tool. It's
a part of your
it's a part of the necessity. Everybody should learn how to use AI right now. It's
absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here and to have this chat with us. It was great talking to you again.
Thanks, Bashin. Thanks for having me. And it's an interesting topic. I think we need a version 2 once I come back from my RSA. Because every year when I go to RSA, I learn where the world is moving and look at the vendor floor, who is doing something new. So let's have a shot later on. In a couple of months, I'll tell you what I learn on that. Maybe a blog, if not the whole podcast on that.
That sounds great. Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye.